So hi, I'm Will. I'm one of the product team at Databricks. So I'm the product manager for our free edition, which we launched today. So super exciting day for us today, and very excited to talk to you all. It used to be called the Community Edition. So have you seen? Yeah, you shouldn't be able to hear me. It's the headphones. Used to be called the Community Edition. So if you see that around and about, it's no longer called that. It's called the free edition now. And this talk is all about how you can get started with data and AI using the free edition. So who's this relevant for? So the good news is more people than ever want to learn data and AI, right? So you might be a student or a career switcher. You might be a developer who's trying to get a little bit more data-oriented, learn some stuff about agents. Perhaps a business user trying to get insight from data, decision maker, or just someone who's kind of curious and wants to explore. And so if you identify with any of these, then you've kind of come to the right place. So in this talk, we're going to talk through how to do it. And it leans a little bit on my experience developing this, but then also a little bit on my own personal journey. I describe myself maybe as a kind of intermediate level data person. You know, I'm not wildly skilled. I'm not the best data analyst out there in the world. But I've taken this kind of long and meandering journey to learn data. And I wanted to share a few lessons and then a simple path to get started today. So I started, and I had this kind of dark and winding path, which was just question after question. So, where should I actually start? Why do I need to download things? What language should I choose? And there were just many questions like this. What if I break something again and again and again and again? And I found that it was just a kind of super opaque process to know how to get started with stuff. From that, I kind of crystallized these 4 kind of golden rules for how you get started in a data career or a data passion. And I'd love to share them with you. And then finally, we can kind of walk you through how you guys can get started on the free edition. So lesson number 1 is start with questions, not theory. So it's very tempting to start with this kind of very abstract stuff, looking at coding language, maybe like meandering around in Code Academy or something like that. But if you do that, you very quickly lose momentum. And the key thing you need is momentum, I guess I'll call it like a feedback loop between motivation and momentum. You start with a little bit of motivation. If you don't get a quick win early, you'll lose momentum. And momentum's what's going to keep you going in this journey. So start with questions and try and get a question answered in 5 minutes to prove to you that you can do it. Hot tip number 2 is use tools that get out of your way. So this is about momentum as well. So if you use a tool where the first step is downloading something, connecting to a cloud infra account, you've already lost. You're already grappling with configuration, with infrastructure, and you're not learning actual data skills. Similarly, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I would say avoid sandbox tools as well, okay? Because you'll outgrow sandbox tools really quickly, and they won't feel real. Third rule is let the LLMs teach you. This has been the thing that's been the biggest unlock for me, is being able to use LLMs to make progress. LLMs is the most extraordinary tool for learning. You can ask any question, and they can really guide you through the data process. We've got really 3 kind of LLMs that I love to use. The first is the Databricks Assistant. The second is the Genie. And then finally, of course, good old ChatGPT. This is like number 1 thing for unlocking and unblocking, I'd say. And then final golden rule, 4 of 4, is just do it. So I first got interested in data in about 2011. It wasn't until about 2018 that I then picked something up. So it's very easy to just spend 7 years procrastinating, not doing anything. You just got to get started, get going. So now we can think about how you actually do that. So the exciting news that hopefully you saw in the keynote, this is a kind of massive moment in data and AI. Today, Databricks is basically making almost all Databricks features fully available. And Ali alluded to this in the keynote, but pretty much anything that you want to do in Databricks, you can now do for free in a personal capacity. So we call it Databricks Free Edition. It's modern Databricks. It's completely free. You can explore the full data and AI lifecycle, so any part of the data and AI journey. And then finally, it's browser-based. You don't need a credit, and you don't need to set up any infrastructure at all. There's no downloading. It's super simple. you can get in about 60 seconds and start running your first query. This is a massive moment for Databricks, massive moment for data and AI education, and it's just a super meaningful thing to be able to share it all with you. So what do you do with Databricks Free Edition? Well, quite quickly, you can get started and kind of whet your appetite as a data and AI learner and prove to yourself that you actually can do this, because I think that's one of the key blockers that people have. It's very simple. You're going to create your account. That's like creating any other account. It takes 30 seconds. You're going to pick a cool data set that you're interested in. Just pick any topic that you like and find a data set on it. Ask your first question of that data. If you're less technical, you can start in natural language with something like Databricks Genie Room, and I can show you how to do that. If you're more technical, you can get straight into the SQL or the Python. Then run your first query. So this is stepping out of natural language into something a little bit more technical. And then finally, visualize your insight. Create a graph or something to make it real and to be able to communicate it. If you do these 5 things, I would posit that you are then a data practitioner. You do that, you've done your job, you're ready, and you can go out into the world and kind of master this craft. And the nice thing is you can do these things in the space of about 10 minutes. So hopefully I can prove that to you today with the Databricks Free Edition. So we can switch over now to a demo, and I'll walk you guys through exactly how you do this. So the first step was create your account. So to create your account, you just go to, this is maybe the most self-explanatory part of the entire talk. You just go to databricks.com and you create an account. So you can click Try Databricks up here. You'll get to the account creation page. At the moment, the free edition, because it's just launched, is a little bit hard to spot on this page. This is probably the hardest thing that you'll do in this whole journey. It's down here. So this is where you're going to go. You can click there to get to your free account. And you'll just land on a pretty standard sign-up page. You can create your account, set up your workspace. Takes 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I already have an account, so I won't make you guys look at this. But once you create your account, you end up in essentially a full Databricks workspace that looks a little bit like this. Mine's a little bit more evolved. I've already got some data in there. But essentially, at this point, you have your Databricks account. And you can move on to step 2, which is picking a cool data set. There are 3 kind of sources of data sets you can use. So the first is you can look for our samples. So if you go in the catalog here, we'll have some sample data just here. And you can explore this. We've got some real data from AccuWeather. If you're passionate about the weather, like my dad, then you could explore that. But if you're less interested in that, we've got some other sample data, the New York taxi data set, and so on. Second source of data is the Databricks Marketplace over here. This is a place where people can share data or notebooks or analysis with each other. The top tips I would say for this page, firstly, filter by products. So filter for a table. And then secondly, filter for free stuff. And then immediately you get all these different free data sets that you can use, which is really good. So for example, maybe I'm really interested in zip codes for one use or another. You can click in, you can see a little bit about what fields you have in this data. And very quickly, and hopefully we won't suffer too much with the 10,000 people who are competing for Wi-Fi in here. I think we might with this spinner. But essentially, very quickly, you can load this into your workspace. And that's how you get kind of marketplace data in. And then the final thing is if you want to go outside and you have a really narrow specific thing, for example, like I'm a bit of a tennis fan and I like tennis data, you can go to Kaggle, and Kaggle has this amazing data set kind of repository. Some of it's live and updating. You can just download a data set from there and upload it back into Databricks. So already over here, we're through the first 2 steps here, and we're ready to ask our first question of our data. And the way that you do that is you can use Genie. Genie is my favorite way to do this, incredible tool. It's an AI natural language way to query data. So I'm just going to go and create a Genie room here and show you how powerful this is to get yourself started on your data and AI journey. So I've got several spaces here. A space is kind of like one chatbot where you can ask questions of your data. I'll create a new space. I think you might remember earlier I mentioned I'm kind of interested in tennis. So I'm going to create a space that looks at my tennis data set. And this is a data set of all the tennis matches in the last 25 years. And this is where I can start. You can see I have this chatbot interface, and I can start to look at my data and ask questions of it. So for example, I could say, give me the top 10 players by number of matches won. And I can just ask that question. And this is where this like true Databricks magic comes in. So this is a text-to-SQL tool. It's going to think about my request, and it's going to translate it into SQL. And then it's going to run the query. And just like that, I can see, wow, Roger Federer has the most tennis matches won of anyone, closely followed by Djokovic and Nadal. And they're way ahead as a big three in the 21st century. So just like that, you've got your first data insight. And we're probably 3 minutes into demoing this tool. So that's how easy it is to become a data professional in this modern day and age. The next thing that I want to do is start to run my first query. So this is taking me out of English and into more technical skills. Now, of course, you don't necessarily need to do that in this day and age, but I think it builds confidence as you go. So one thing I can do is I can show the code here that Jeannie called, and immediately I can see, exactly what happened. Okay, so we had a with as, and then we selected our data, and then we kind of ordered it by number of wins. I can copy this data, and I can create a notebook and start exploring this more. So if you create a notebook, again, we're going to suffer with the Wi-Fi a little bit, but we're getting there. And I can just copy this data into this notebook, or this query, rather. And the one thing I think I'm going to need is, this should just run. Again, there's no need to set up any infrastructure here. It should just, I didn't run it. So, there you go. Databricks is going to handle all the complexity for you. So you can be a pure data practitioner. You don't have to worry about how compute works or setting up an AWS account, anything like that. You can just get in and run it. So there you go. We've now connected to compute, and now this query is running, and hopefully relatively soon that should calculate. So we can come back to this in a minute. Step 5 is visualize your insights. So there's a number of ways you can do this in Databricks. You can visualize inside notebooks. You can visualize that inside the SQL query editor. But I also really like using dashboards. So I'll show you a dashboard while this query runs, and then we can come back and do that. So on the left-hand side here, we have dashboards. I'll open a new tab so we can come back here. Dashboards are the best way to visualize data. You can share them throughout your organization. And I have a couple of sample data dashboards here. So if I just show you this one, I think, again, this will take a moment to spin up because we have Wi-Fi issues. But this is going to load, this is going to connect to data, and it's going to load a data set for dashboards. And I think my other query is cooked, so I'm bouncing around a little bit. So there you go. So this is the kind of thing you can do as well. This is all pretty straightforward. I'll show you how to create one of these charts. But again, things like dashboards, data visualizations, all of this you can learn just by getting stuck in this Databricks tool. So I won't build one of these entirely in front of you because I want to leave some space for Q&A. But if we go back to our notebook here, we can see that this is now calculated, our queries worked, and we can also visualize it ourselves. So to create your first visualization, all you do is click plus here, and you can add a visualization. And our visualization editor is pretty smart, so quite quickly you can create charts, and it'll understand exactly how you should do it and so on. So if I just click save there, we have our first visualization. So if we think about what we've done, we created our account, signed up, found a question we're interested in, and we've been able to answer it in 5 minutes and visualize it. This is an incredibly powerful tool, and it's much, much less difficult than it was yesterday, but certainly 5 years ago. So I hope that the main takeaway you guys take from this demo is that this is something you're really capable of. You can do it. You should feel very empowered. I feel everyone can be a data practitioner in 2025. So I really just encourage you guys to give it a go, sign up, and see what you can do. So the way you do that, I've got a QR code here, and I'll present this just so you can do it. So you can scan that QR code, Or you can go to signup.databricks.com, and remember, it's just that hidden click here, link in the bottom right. And it's as simple as that, and you guys can, within 10 minutes or 15 minutes of this talk, you should be creating your first visualizations as well. So thanks very much for listening. We've got a few minutes left to do Q&A, so happy to do that as well.